Hi everyone, can you see me and hear me properly? You can let me know with a yes in the chat box or a thumbs up in the chat box. And today I have also joined from my phone so that there are no network difficulties. So I have joined from two devices. But still, if there is any concern that comes up, you can just raise your hand and you can just let me know. Okay, so we are continuing with our essential series after about a week. So how are you all doing? I see some familiar names. I see some new participants also. How are you doing, Triti? I've seen Avni's name before. I see some new people also. Yes. So how is everybody doing? Just a minute or two to interact, and then we can just continue with our sessions. So glad to know that you're doing well, Simran, Khushi. I'm also doing good. Okay, great. All right. I hope the rest of you are also doing well. So let us continue. This is our sixth session of the Essentials Concept Clarity series, and I hope that everything we've covered so far has been helping you with your college exams and whatever entrances you're preparing for. Today was also an enhanced entrance, and if anybody is given that, you can contact us after the class to share your experience. I hope that it went well. So, yes, let's continue. And by now, I'm sure that a lot of you know what the cyclopedia is. So, yes, we help students prepare for entrance exams like CUET PG and UGC NET, the RCI exam, which is now called NCLINSI. And we had initially informed you about the launch of our 2027 batch for CUET PG, and the early bird of that is actually now closed. But now we're also launching the very well awaited course that many of you were asking me about. And actually, this is suitable for anybody who is preparing either for UGC NET or the Masters in Clinical Psychology, which is the RCI exam. So we are launching the course also, and the resource persons, if you can recognize anybody from these, do you know anybody of these? Some of them are very active on social media, but all of these are actually either clinical psychologists or people currently enrolled in MPhil or PsyD programs or assistant professors. Yes, so these will be the people. They are from different universities, different institutes, telling you about their specific patterns. So all of them are experts in their specific subject that they've chosen. And the early bird for this course is actually open right now. So if anybody is interested, they can start. The classes will begin next month itself in July. Right, so today's topic is sensation and perception. And when I was preparing for my entrances, this was one of the topics that I hated the most because sensation has a lot of biology inside it. And it felt very intimidating to me personally. And now, when I teach, I see that students run away from this chapter. They leave this chapter for the end because, again, biology is there. But that makes it even more important because if you're sitting for any clinical psychology exam or master's exam, also, there are going to be questions from the eye, questions from the ear, or the general senses of the body with aspects of biology, which is why it's important that we understand what it is saying. So, things that you're scared of, things that intimidate you, it's better to do it in the beginning itself. So, can you tell me in the chat box from 1 to 10, how much does sensation scare you? Like the different biology of it, the parts of the eye, parts of the ear. So, 1 to 10, 1 meaning, oh, I am not scared of it at all. I am completely confident with it. But 10 is that level of fear that you're like, I'll just close my books and run away whenever this is the chapter that's being taught. So I'm seeing that a lot of you are rating it as 8, 9, 10, 9. What about the rest of you? 6, okay, 5, okay. But the average is somewhere around 7, right? If you calculate the average, 7 on 10 aega. So, you know what? My aim for today's class is gonna be to reduce the fear that you have. And fear kab aata hai? When we are uncertain about something, when we don't understand something, when we don't feel confident with something, that is when fear comes. So my goal for today's class will be that this fear gets eliminated, this fear gets reduced, and you finally get the confidence. And just like in every class, there's a lot more information, lot more things that you find out that you did not know previously. I hope that the same happens in this class as well. Right, so let's start with sensation. Starting with
Hello,
the
Nidhi
very,
ma'am.
very basics. इसका आंसर
Hello.
सबको आना चाहिए. I think someone is speaking something. Who is this?
Yeah, ma'am, I'm Kriti.
Yes, Kriti, your hand is raised from a very long time. I was not sure
Yeah,
if it was a mistake or you wanted to say something.
I wanted to say something. I love the way you teach us. So the notes are very attractive in nature. So I just wanted to compliment that. And I also wanted to ask from you that whether we should refer to the Indian version for abnormal psychology and social psychology, or the global edition like abnormal psychology is by Butcher and for social psychology by Baron and Byrne. So I was having that doubt.
Okay, so Kriti, firstly, thank you so much for the compliment. I really appreciate this. And if you have any concerns, you can just put it in the chat box because when we are teaching, sometimes the flow gets disrupted and that gets a little challenging for us to come back. So you can put your question in the chat box, and then I can get back to it once I'm taking doubts. And it's the same for everybody, right? So if you have raised your hand, you can just allow me to let you speak because there is a dedicated time for doubts that we take later on, and just saying in between just disrupts the flow. Yes, but anyway, thank you. Just put your question in the chat box and I'll take it. Okay, so I was asking you about sensation. How many senses do you think humans have? One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. How many senses do we have, humans? We have five senses. Okay. Okay, this will get challenged later on. Actually, we don't have five senses. We have more than five senses. But if you are saying we have five senses, can you just write them down? Eight senses. इतने सारे सेंसेस भी नहीं है. चलो बताओ क्या क्या सेंसेस होते हैं ह्यूमंस के पास. कैन यू जस्ट नेम द सेंसेस एज पर योर नॉलेज. आपको कितने सेंसेस पता है? एंड लेट्स नॉट राइट वेरी बेसिक थिंग्स लाइक आईज, ईयर्स, नोज. वी आर नॉट यू नो फर्स्ट क्लास स्टूडेंट्स जिनको दिस इज माई नोज, दिस इज माई, ऐसे सिखाया जा रहा है. We want to know the psychological term for it. Yes, like olfactory. Yes, like that. So, what are the five senses that we have? We have the visual sense, right? Then we have the sense of audition. Audition meaning you're hearing something. So, we're talking about your ears here. Yes, then when we talk about smell, so that is the olfactory sense. We also talk about taste. What is that called? Taste wala sense kaun sa hota hai? It is the gustatory. The gustatory is the sense of taste, and we also have the sense of touch. Now, what is that called? You can either call that tactile, or you can also call it somesthetic sense. Basically, what does somesthetic mean? Like, if you want to break it down into two, what does somesthetic mean? What does soma mean? Tell me. Soma का मतलब क्या होता है? Very simple. What does soma mean? Yes, soma means body. And what is aesthetic? You know, like we say that aesthetics are so good. Basically, aesthetic is to do with feelings or sensation. So, somesthetic sense is the same as tactile sense, meaning the sense of touch that you feel on your body or inside your body also. It's not just on the surface, but also inside. Like when you say ki my stomach is paining or my kidney is paining or my head is paining, my lungs are paining, I'm having pain in the heart. So that is the body feeling. That is the somesthetic sense, not just on the surface, but inside also in the organs also. So we can do that later, Baki. Okay. So, yes, these are the five senses that we have. Actually, there are more senses that were discovered later, but we'll come back to that after some time. So, let's understand ki what is even sensation. Right now, we have just looked at five basic senses, but what is sensation? Okay, and once again, I would like to use the example of food because I feel that उससे सबको समझ में आ जाता है. So let's just say that we are gonna have a very nice iced coffee here, okay? And the iced coffee is very nice. We have also added some extra flavoring into it. There is vanilla essence, there is hazelnut flavor also. So which one do you want me to put? I'll make some ice also because this is iced coffee. So should I put vanilla flavoring or should I put hazelnut flavoring in this coffee? Which one do you like? Vanilla. Okay, yes, vanilla is nice. ठीक है. So this is vanilla iced coffee. So imagine that this is there in front of you. What do you see? You see ice. You see three ice cubes. आइसक्रीम खाने का मन कर जाएगा क्लास के बाद खाना, ठीक है? Okay, so you see iced coffee in front of you. You see, what all do you see? You see three iced cubes which are transparent. You see the color of the coffee also, right? Some people like very strong coffee, so the color is way more brown. But some people like lighter coffee, so the color is little less brown. So that is the sight. You see it. Then, when you are holding the glass of coffee, because it is iced coffee, are you not feeling the coldness? Are you not feeling the temperature in your hand? Then, when you are sipping this cold coffee, are you not getting the taste of it? You are able to detect the taste, right, on your tongue through your taste buds. You're able to tell that it is sugary enough or it has less sugar or whatever it is. Then you're also able to smell it. Vanilla has a very distinct smell. You're able to smell that, right? And let's say hearing, you are just talking to me right now, so you're hearing me. So this entire detection process, that is known as sensation. Whether you're detecting the taste of coffee, or you're able to detect the smell of coffee, or you're detecting the color of coffee, or you're detecting me speaking simultaneously, or you're detecting the temperature of coffee, that process is known as sensation. And do you know how you're able to detect this? Is there the involvement of a specific cell in the body that is helping you to detect all of these stimuli around you? Like we can say coffee is a stimuli, ice is stimuli, vanilla is stimuli. But how are we able to detect this? किसी की तो contribution होगी ना to help us detect this. Are there any specific cells that we have? ओके खुशी, न्यूरोट्रांसमीटर्स एंड न्यूरॉन्स पे हम बाद में आएंगे, वो सेंसेशन प्रोसेस में काम नहीं करता है अभी. बट द क्वेश्चन फॉर द क्लास इज हाउ आर यू एबल टू डिटेक्ट द स्टिमुलाई अराउंड यू? Yes, you are able to detect it through sense organs. Now, sense organs have specialized cells जिनका काम ही डिटेक्शन होता है. What are those specialized cells called? They are called sensory receptors. Very good. Those of you who were saying sensory receptors, you are correct. So, all of our sense organs have specialized cells whose function is only detection. They detect stimulus around you. The stimulus can be anything, and these are known as sensory receptors. Okay, इनका काम डिटेक्ट करना है. पता कैसे लगा कि ये भी एक चीज है आपके एनवायरनमेंट में? आपको पता कैसे लगेगा कि ये भी एक स्टिमुलस है एनवायरनमेंट में? That is done by sensory receptors that detects stimulus around you. Okay, so what is sensation? Sensation is that process in which different sensory receptors on your sense organs help you detect that hello, this is some stimulus in your environment. This is some physical energy in your environment. So let us detect that. That is only sensation. That much is sensation. Now, do you think this smell of coffee or this color of coffee or this taste of coffee, this temperature of coffee, does that sound more like physical energy and a very raw, very sensory energy? Or does it sound more like some electrical energy? Is it physical in form or is it electrical in form? When I'm saying temperature, I'm saying smell, I'm saying touch, I'm saying taste. Is that physical and sensory in form or is that electrical in form? So most of you are saying physical. Yes, you are correct. It is physical form. तो जब आपने कॉफी को टेस्ट करा, or maybe let's just take another example here, little simpler example. So all of you must have gone to buy perfumes, right? And before buying perfume, you try on the different scents that they have, right? Or let's say you're going to a garden, and garden में आपको different type के flowers मिलेंगे. Okay, you will find a flower that probably looks like this. Yes, then you will find another flower that looks like this. I'm trying to make a sunflower. Then you will find another flower that looks like this. So this is just jasmine. Let's just assume this is jasmine, okay? These different flowers, each of them have their own distinct smell. But how are you able to interpret? How are you able to assign meaning to it? How are you able to label that this is the smell of rose, this is the smell of sunflower, this is the smell of jasmine? All of them have distinct smells, right? So how are you able to assign that? How are you able to label that? प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड कि यहाँ पे हम एक डिस्टिंक्शन क्रिएट करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं सेंसेशन के बीच में एंड परसेप्शन के बीच में. One of them is a sensory process, one of them is a process which is very raw, एकदम physical energy के through होता है, and the other one is the process which involves more of labeling, it involves more of interpretation, it involves more of assigning meaning to it, right? So these are the three different flowers that you have. जब जहां तक बात आती है सिर्फ डिटेक्ट करने की कि हाँ कोई तो स्मेल है, फिर आगे बात बढ़ती है कि चलो कोई तो स्मेल थी बट कौन सी स्मेल है, कैन यू आइडेंटिफाई द स्मेल, कैन यू लेबल द स्मेल. So now can you tell me what is the name of the second process? First process is just being able to detect, yeah, some smell is there. But second process where you are able to label it, where you are able to identify that, oh, so this is the smell that I just had. That is known as perception. Yes. So I hope that you have understood the difference between sensation and perception. Perception basically means labeling it. So when you label the smell, so sensation is just detect the smell, and perception is that you label the smell, that this is the name of the smell that I just detected. You label it, you interpret it, you assign some meaning to it, you organize it. Now, where do you think in which part of our body is the information stored that this is what rose smells like, this is what jasmine smells like, this is what sunflower smells like? Where is this information stored? Which part of the body knows? Which part of the body is aware? Yes, that is the brain. So, can we say that perception as a process happens in some of the parts of the brain? Cortical areas means nothing but just advanced part of the brain where perception as a process, interpretation can take place. Everybody perception is a very subjective process. Everybody has different experiences with it. That's why it is dependent upon your previous learning, your previous memory, your previous expectations and experiences. So now I hope you have clearly understood the difference between sensation and perception. Sensation is just detecting that yes, some stimulus is there in my environment, but I don't know yet what it means. For now, I have just detected that yes, something is there. But when it comes to asking yourself, what is the name of this? What is this smell? What is this taste? Is it vanilla? Is it hazelnut? Is it strawberry? Is it something else? That is labeling, that is interpreting, that is meaning making. That bit is known as perception. It's very clearly written here. What does this mean? So, whenever you're giving it meaning, whenever you're labeling it, that is always perception. Okay. Can you clarify what was your question about physical and electrical? Yeah, my question was that is sensation a physical process or uh, is sensation a physical process or an electrical process? It is a physical process because यहाँ पे जो आपकी stimulus है वो एकदम raw, immediate and sensory form में लिया जाता है. Okay, so that is the difference between sensation and perception. So if you have understood the difference, you can just say yes in the chat box. अभी तो हम बहुत बेसिक चीजें कर रहे हैं. द मेन agenda of today's class is parts and functions of the eye. From that you will expect a lot of questions, so we'll go to that also. So these primary five senses we have already covered. I told you about vision, it is about seeing, right? Then hearing is about audition, sense of smell is olfaction, sense of taste is gustation, and sense of touch, somesthetic sense, tactile sense is the same thing only. And we just now discussed about sensory receptors, those specialized cells on our sense organs which are responsible for detecting the presence of stimulus around you. तो हमारे हर सेंसरी ऑर्गन के अंदर आपको अलग अलग तरह के सेंसरी रिसेप्टर्स मिल जाएंगे एंड उनके अलग अलग नेम्स भी होते हैं. सो इन आईज you will find photoreceptors which are rods and cones. We will do that later in today's class. Then ears also have their own receptors. They are called hair cells. That's their name. Nose also has its own receptors. They are called olfactory receptors. Tongue also has its own taste receptors. Basically, these are your taste buds. And skin पे भी receptors होते हैं, right? And of course, they are responsible for detecting any kind of light, detecting any kind of color, detecting any movement, shape, all of that. And बाकी की this is very basic, very self-understood. You know that audition would be to detect sound waves, smell would be to detect the different types of scent that is around you, and that is in the form of chemicals in the air molecules. सेम फॉर टेस्ट. जब आप कुछ खाते हो तो खाने के अंदर जो मॉलिक्यूल्स होते हैं, केमिकल मॉलिक्यूल्स, दैट एक्चुअली गेट्स मिक्स विद योर सलाइवा एंड दैट इज हाउ द डिटेक्शन प्रोसेस हैपेंस. Then touch also. So this is my hand. If I am applying pressure on my hand, or if I am, let's say this is just some satin cloth. I'm putting it, I'm rubbing it across my hand. So the sensation of the texture, all of that bit is possible through this tactile sense only. Right now, those were the very basic senses. There are some more advanced senses also. Thermoception, thermometer. What does thermometer do? It tells us about temperature. So whether you are touching hot coffee or cold coffee, how do you know whether it's hot or cold? Thermoreceptor tells you that. Then let's say the detection of pain. So one time you were chopping vegetables, but by mistake you chopped your finger also. So detecting pain, that is job of nociceptors. So nociception is pain detection, and this is there throughout the body, not just on the surface of your skin, but inside. It's there in muscles also. So when you lift very heavy, your muscles get sore and you feel pain. How is that detected? By nociceptors. और let's say आपको किसी organ में pain हो रहा है, तो आपके visceral organs में भी होते हैं ये. Okay, so these are there. Now there is presence of sixth sense also. I saw some of you saying that in the chat box. What is the name of sixth sense? That is known as proprioception. So proprioception is the sixth sense which was discovered not that long ago. Proprioception के अंदर हमें two parts देखने को मिलेंगे. We get to see kinesthetic sense inside proprioception, and we also get to see vestibular sense inside proprioception. What is the difference between kinesthetic and vestibular sense? Any kind of body movement. Let's say you're dancing, you're trying a new dance step, or let's say you're playing cricket, or you're playing badminton, or you're swimming. This involves movement of your hands and legs and body limbs in a certain manner, right? So क्रिकेट खेलते हुए आप ऐसे बॉल को मार रहे हो, बैडमिंटन खेलते हुए you're aiming for the shuttlecock, or when dancing you are just putting your body limbs, arms and legs in different positions, right? So whenever it is to do with the movement of the body, movement of the limbs, it is the kinesthetic sense that we're talking about. Okay, see, kinesthetic, it is the movement sense, right? But what about vestibular? Vestibular is to do a lot with your sense of balance. Okay, it is to do with balance, it is to do with your head position. So let's say that when you go to get a haircut, so doesn't the barber say that अपने head को ऐसे नीचे करो, अपने head को down करो so that he can cut it properly. Then if he wants you to tilt your head towards this side or tilt your head towards that side so that the haircut can be done properly. Whatever your head position is like, if it's downwards, if it's backwards, if it's tilted towards the left or the right, that position of the head and also the sense of balance that you have in your body, that is monitored by the vestibular sense. All right, more on this when we are covering the parts of the ear, but in today's session, eye is the main focus. Right, so that is basic about the sixth sense. And if you want to classify these senses in a better manner, you can just put it into the category of extroceptive senses, interoceptive senses, and proprioceptive we just discussed right now. What is extroceptive versus introspective? As the name suggests, extro meaning external, something outside you. So if there is any external stimulus outside us, which can be detected just by seeing it, by hearing it, by smelling it, by touching it, by tasting it, something outside you, जो आप देख सकते हो. So that thing comes under extroceptive senses, but sometimes the stimulus is inside the body, something that is giving us information about our internal bodily states. So let's say I am feeling hungry. That is to do with my internal bodily state, right? I'm feeling thirsty. That is to do with my internal bodily state. Or I'm feeling very tired, exhausted, fatigued, I'm feeling sleepy, or I'm feeling very anxious, so my heartbeat has gotten very fast, or let's say blood pressure is getting low or high. These are feedback that you're getting to know from your internal bodily mechanisms. So this goes in the interoceptive senses. And proprioceptive, we have just discussed. Kinesthetic and vestibular sense comes under proprioception. So with this, we have classified all of the senses, and this is the last topic before we move into parts of the eye. So, are you understanding everything that we have done so far? If yes, you can just say a yes in the chat box, or if not, you can ask if you have any question. Okay, I want more responses, not just from Simran, and your name is Lulu, but I guess that's your nickname. Or do you have any other name, or is that your actual name? Can you re explain interoceptive? वो बस ये है कि there are certain mechanisms happening inside your body. For example, you're feeling hungry. How do you know that? Because probably some hormones were released, or probably the glucose mechanism was happening inside. Blood glucose आपका कम हो गया तो आपको पता लगा that you want to eat something, right? Or let's say you want to drink water. Why? Because you're thirsty. Why are you thirsty? Because your cells inside the body got dehydrated. That is something which is a mechanism inside the body. Right? So ये सारी चीजें, or let's say that you are just having stomach ache because of something. Let's say you're having cramps inside. So that is something which is happening inside the body. So all of these internal mechanisms, because this is happening inside the body and it has not a lot to do with any external stimulus per se, that is why it is known as interest. Okay, 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 fine. So now we move on to transduction. Yes. So just now we have understood the difference between sensation and perception. We have understood the difference between sensation and perception, right? What difference did we understand? What is the main difference between sensation and perception in terms of how the information is presented, in terms of how information is encoded? What difference have you understood? Sensation is a dash process versus perception is more of dash process. Like, how does sensation happen? Yes, yes. Ria and Simran, you are right. Yes, Tanisha, you're also right. So, sensation is a very raw process, it is a very physical process, right? But perception is more of an electrical process. So, how is this transition happening from something that is very raw to something that is more electrical? How is this transition happening from something that is very physical to something that is very electrical? जब ब्रेन में हमें इंटरप्रेट करना होता है, when the brain wants to label, when the brain wants to identify that this is the smell of rose, this is the smell of jasmine, this is the smell of lily, this is the smell of sunflower, how that is an electrical process, that is fine, but how does that um translation happen? How does that change happen? That happens through the process of transduction. Okay, so what is transduction? Transduction means that you want to convert physical energy into an electrical format so that the brain can understand and process it. Because for brain cannot understand anything that is raw and sensory or physical in nature. Brain primarily communicates in the form of action potentials, which is basically your nerve impulses, your electrical communication. That is how brain communicates. तो brain को कुछ भी physical raw sensory नहीं समझ आने वाला. brain से communicate करने के लिए आपके पास information electrical होनी चाहिए. वो कैसे होता है? It gets converted through transduction. Okay, so transduction is the process in which our sensory receptors will convert all the physical energy from the environment into some electrical form, into some chemical form that can be understood by the brain. Brain is a part of the nervous system. Okay, so see, अब sensory organ light क्या करेगा? Brain को नहीं समझ आएगा light wave. Brain will not understand sound wave. Brain will not understand chemicals in the food and all. That physical stimulus needs to be converted into neural signals or electrical signals. Then only the brain will understand it. Okay, now all the five senses that we have seen, they have different types of receptors which are responsible for this transduction process. For vision, we have seen its rods and cones. Today we will do that in detail. For hearing, we have hair cells. I told you in MCQs they ask you कि hair cells कहाँ मिलते हैं. Hair cells are found in cochlea. It is a spiral shaped structure in the inner ear, right? Then taste, you have taste buds and you also have papillae. These are basically the raised bumps that are there on your tongue. It helps you to understand the texture of the food that you're having. Right? Smell ka kya? Olfactory receptors. Yes. Then skin senses. All of the senses on the skin that tell us about the temperature, they tell us about the any pain that is there, they tell us about any pressure, any vibration. So in our net course, actually, I will teach you a lot about this. We have different types, we free nerve endings, we have Pacinian corpuscles, we have Ruffini endings, we have many of them actually. But for master's entrances, it's not required, but for MPhil, UGC net and all, तो जब हमारा वो course हो रहा होगा, I'll tell you. But for now, I think this much is enough, right? Otherwise, a lot of information overload will happen. So see, this is the order, this is the process, and order is important for most of the exams that NTA makes because वो chronology based questions काफी डालते हैं. So see this, first there will be a physical stimulus that will come, then this will be detected. Detected by whom? Detected by your receptors, and that process is known as sensation. But this is still very physical in nature, so what do I even do with it? कुछ काम का नहीं है, ये डिटेक्शन हुआ. फिजिकल को इलेक्ट्रिकल में कन्वर्ट करने के लिए ट्रांसडक्शन, राइट? सो कन्वर्ट टू इलेक्ट्रिकल फॉर्म, that is transduction. Then only it can be understood by the brain. The next process is perception, which is more about labeling. It is more about interpreting it. That is perception. And this is where like the whole involvement of the brain comes in, where brain identifies what this is, the brain gives meaning to it, right? So I hope you have understood the flow. I hope this order is making sense to you. Yes. So if now we can move on to the human eye, if we can move on to vision, you can tell me yes in the chat box. And so far, how much are you understanding from 1 to 10? Can you rate? 1 is I didn't understand anything at all. It is the same level of knowledge as how it was when I began this class. And 10 is I am very confident now and I am able to understand things. Okay. Great. Now again, see, all of you are from different backgrounds. Some of you may be first year students. For you, everything must be very new. Some of them could be final year students. You have some basic idea into it. So if you are having a rating anything around 9 or 10, that is great. But if you're having something around 6 or 7, that is fine. And usually for entrance preparation, it's like after attending the lecture, you have to sit with yourself to revise the notes that you've made. Then you have to look into the PPT once again. Then you have to look into the notes that we give. Then after that, you have to give the mock test. Then you have to analyze your mistakes. Then once again, you have to read. So it's like a very cyclical process. We cannot expect that just because I have watched one lecture, now I know everything in the world, I have PhD level knowledge. That's not what happens. We have to go over it again and again because very humanly it takes us time to process that information, to consolidate that information. Even when I study something new, I don't get 10 on 10 understanding just by reading it for the one time only. I also need to register in my brain and repeat it so that I can understand it. So it's fine if you have 7 understanding also, that is decent, but definitely you should increase it after revisions once you watch this lecture. Yes. Okay, so can we start with vision and human eye? If yes, you can just say yes in the chat box. Okay, great. So this is one of the most important senses. A lot of questions do come from this. So please open your eyes. We're talking about human eyes, so please open your eyes, engage your eyes, because this is quite important. Very important. इस बार CUET 2026 में very difficult question from human eye had come, so we will cover that question also. Otherwise, also for MPhil entrance is also quite important. So NTA's favorite type of question when they are testing you on sensation, especially parts of the eye, is more to do with the order and the chronology, as I told you previously also. So eye है हमें पता है we have the eye. We also know that eye has different parts inside it. But what is the order of the parts? Which part comes first? Which part comes at the end? Which parts come in between? What is the correct order from 1 to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Like that. NTA wants to test you on that. Whether you have clarity about the correct arrangement, about the correct order from part to part. They can also ask you, this question was asked in I think 2024 or 2023 entrance also of CUET only, where they asked you that arrange the parts of the eye in the correct order from how light enters inside the eye. तो light enter करी सबसे पहले इस part पे पहुंची, then light touched another part, then next part, then next part. You have to arrange that in the order. Hence, chronology is very important while understanding the visual pathway. Well, parts and functions of the eye is important, but chronology is equally important. So we will be focusing on that today. Okay, so this is the diagram of the eye. Must be looking very overwhelming to you by looking at it for the first time. I felt the same. But when we take it part by part and when we try to consolidate it together at the end, it will not feel as overwhelming. So let's start with the very first part of the eye. That is cornea. Okay. So we have also attached a lot of diagrams here and we have also labeled it so that you're able to understand it properly. Okay, so let's say this is your eye. This is the outermost part of the eye, which I am trying to highlight right now with this black color. What is the shape of this like? ये सबसे outermost part है eye का. If let's say this is a person, if this is their eye, then the outermost part, this thing which I just underlined right now, this is the outermost part. This is the cornea. Now, can you tell me what is the shape of this like? Let's just understand what does cornea look like and then we can look into the functions of it. What is the shape? Yes, actually, this shape is called convex shape. But साथ में you can also call it dome shaped. This is how a dome looks like, right? You want to call it curvature, dome shaped. It is transparent. Where is it found? At the outer layer of the eye. So anterior just means something in front. Posterior means something at the back. So that is where cornea is placed, and that is what cornea looks like. Transparent, dome shaped curvature, right present at the front of the eye, hence the word anterior is there. Okay, to understand cornea better, I want you to think of a camera. Now, camera also has a shape like this, right? ये आपका camera है. Camera also has a shape like this, right? And whenever we want to do photography, we see that a lot of light is entering from the environment and it is getting focused on this structure of the camera. So cornea is something very similar. Lot of light from the environment, which is coming directly towards the eye, gets focused on the cornea. ठीक है? So this much I hope you have understood that all the light which is coming from the environment is getting focused on the cornea. But what happens after that? What happens after light is focused on the cornea? Light goes inside, right? Do you think light needs to go inside in a very precise manner, or can it go inside in a very scattered manner? Okay, so your ultimate goal, your ultimate purpose is that image that is getting created needs to be very clear. It does not need to be blurred. Yes, precise. So how does that happen? All the scattered light that is coming from the environment, how do you convert that into a form that is very precise? That is directly aiming in a very precise manner. That happens through a process which is known as refraction. Now, what is refraction? Refraction means that whatever rays of light are coming from outside towards the cornea, it needs to be bended so that it can directly point towards in a very um, precise manner towards the retina so that the image that is created is very clear and not blurry. Okay, so I hope you have understood this bit. If you want, I can repeat it. But let's see the PPT also. Approximately two-thirds of the eye's total focusing power is provided by the cornea, right? We have seen that already. जो भी लाइट बाहर से आ रही है वो कहाँ फोकस होगी? कॉर्निया पे फोकस होगी. आफ्टर फोकसिंग सारी जो स्कैटर्ड लाइट रेज हैं वो आगे जाके बेंड हो जाएगी. क्यों बेंड होगी? Because we want that the picture, the image that is being created, it should be clear enough, and that bending process is known as refraction. Okay, so bending is like very important. This is the reason why we have a clear image. तो refraction नहीं होगा तो blurry दिखेगा हमें सब कुछ, right? So I hope that you have understood this bit. So scattered rays of light are coming, but later it bends. That is known as refraction. Why is refraction important? To create a clear image. So that is all about cornea that we need to know. You can also know this that additional information that LASIK eye surgeries are performed on the cornea. That is all about cornea. That's important. So have you understood this bit? Have you understood about refraction? Have you understood about focusing? सारी लाइट यहाँ पे आके फोकस होती है. क्यों रिफ्रैक्शन इंपॉर्टेंट है क्लियर इमेज बनाने के लिए? Have you understood that? So I'm not just teaching Simran and Anvesha, I'm teaching the rest of you also. So if you have understood, you can just let me know. Yes, okay. So what happens after this? Light passes um, through the cornea first, but where does it go after that? The next part that we have after cornea is called aqueous humor. Now, what does aqueous humor mean? Humor, you remember Hippocrates' theory? We have seen the four humors. What does humor mean? Humor means fluid, right? Now, can you tell me what do you think the texture and consistency of this fluid should be? The word aqueous is written here. Aqua means water. So aqueous, it is very watery. Yes, aqueous humor is like a very watery fluid that is present between two parts of the eye, which is the cornea and the lens. And why is it there? What are the functions of aqueous humor? So first of all, these parts of the eye actually do not have blood vessels, which is why they need a lot of nourishment. They need a lot of support, right? So the first part of aqueous humor is that it gives nourishment to those parts of the eyes so that they don't dry up. And secondly, it also needs to give some shape and structure to the eye, right? Now, there needs to be some support which is holding the eye in place. Otherwise, the parts might lose the form, they might lose the shape, they might not be able to maintain the shape and form that is there. Yes, so the second function of aqueous humor is that it needs to give you some kind of pressure through which you can preserve the shape of the eye. That is actually known as intraocular pressure. Ocular just means anything to do with the eye. Intra means inside. First thing, giving nourishment to the eye. Second thing, giving shape to it by the intraocular pressure, as I said. And thirdly, it's also like more like a medium that allows light to go inside in a proper manner. So, medium for travel, as you have written, Ria. Medium for travel. Yeah, so that is all about aqueous humor. All right. So, now we move to the next part, which is iris and pupil. So, all of us have different colored eyes. I have black eyes, but you might have blue eyes. Someone may have brown eyes, someone may have green eyes, gray eyes. Which part of the eye is responsible for giving color to the eye? That part is iris. It gives color to the eye, pigment to the eye. तो अगर आपकी eye black है, brown है, blue है, gray है, green है, it is all possible through the iris. Okay, so are you all understanding this? Are you all understanding whatever is being taught in the class? I need you to respond and interact, without which the class cannot continue. Okay, great. So keep on interacting yourself only. It takes another 2 minutes to ask me to interact from you. So and just interact yourself. Okay, so iris हमने देख लिया. Now, what about this next part, which is pupil? Okay, so let's say that you were sleeping peacefully and then your sibling came, they turned on the light and they put a very bright flash. They put a very bright torch right inside your eye. What do you think will happen? Will you sort of close your eyes a little bit or will you open your eyes more कि हाँ हाँ डालो मेरी आंखों में लाइट डाल दो मजा आ रहा है. Will you open your eye or will you close your eye when they're putting the torch inside your eye? Yes. So you will close it, right? But what about an environment where the lighting is very dim? Let's say that the lighting is like very yellow, very dim lighting is there. So at that time, is it more comfortable for us to open our eyes, or at that time also we close our eyes very instinctively? Yes, जब dim light होता है, so it's wide open, right? So depending upon the amount of light, it can be bright, it can be dim. Depending upon the amount of light that is entering the eye, whether it is dim light or whether it is bright light, the pupil is actually one structure that either gets open or whether it gets closed. In other words, whether it gets dilated or whether it gets constricted. So just now we have seen that agar jo light hai, if it is very dim, then in those cases, the pupil will get dilated. And if the light is very bright, then the pupil will constrict itself. Right? Do you know which part of the eye controls the pupil? It is there in this slide only. Pupil is controlled by dash iris. Yes. So iris has two functions. The first one is to give color to the eye, as we have already seen. And the second function of iris is also to control the size of pupil. Right? So I hope that you have understood this. So this much is actually enough for your understanding. Pupil is an opening in the iris, and iris has actually two smooth muscles, sphincter pupillae, dilator pupillae. जब आपके पास bright light होगी तो iris pupil को constrict कर देगा, and that process is known as meiosis, but that's not relevant for master's entrances. And on the other hand, if the light is very dim, then the pupil will get dilated through dilator pupillae. That is all. Okay. दिस इज जस्ट एन एनालॉजी, कैमरा अपर्चर, कि जितनी लाइट आ रही है उसके हिसाब से प्यूपल का साइज डायलेट हो जाता है या कंस्ट्रिक्ट हो जाता है. ओके, इफ यू आर टेकिंग दिस क्लास फॉर एम क्लिन साई देन दिस could be relevant for you. Okay, now remember I was telling you about that example where your sibling comes and flashes torch inside your eye. Very instinctively you close your eyes. That is just a very automatic reflex that happens. That reflex is controlled by another part in our nervous system, which is basically the cranial nerves. We have 12 pairs of cranial nerves. This is something that comes under biopsychology. Each cranial nerve has its own function, but the third pair of cranial nerve is responsible for performing pupillary light reflex, which is just closing your eyes like a reflex when bright light is there. Okay. Now, after this, we have the next part. Mnemonic for cranial nerve, yes, it is there like something O, O, O. There are four O's in between. Then biopsych PPT mein hai, I don't remember it right now very nicely. So when we are doing biopsych, then I can teach you. Okay, so now moving on to lens. Are you understanding everything so far? We have lens, and after that we have vitreous humor, then we have the retina, and then we just have the last bit, optic nerve, that is all. So I think in another 15 minutes we should be done with it. Okay, can I have some more responses again? Okay, great. So after this we have lens, and here we will understand the concept of visual accommodation. Role of cranial nerve 3, pupillary light reflex. अचानक से लाइट बंद कर लेना, आंखें बंद कर लेना जब बहुत तेज ब्राइट लाइट आ रही है. Okay, so now let us understand lens and the process of visual accommodation. All right, so I want you to think of situations where you are sitting in a classroom, you're a backbencher, and the blackboard or the whiteboard is very far away from you. Or let's say if you are in the cinema hall and you have chosen the extremely rear seats, the back seats, and the screen is very far away from you. So you're actually having some difficulty to see what is there on the screen. That is one situation. Another situation is, let's say something is very close to your face, like itna pass. It's very close to your face, right? So how are you able to focus on objects that are extremely far away from you versus objects that are extremely close to you, like right inside your face? That happens through a process known as visual accommodation. Okay, visual accommodation means that you have some ciliary muscles inside your eyes, and ये ciliary muscles जो हैं, they basically make the lens change its shape, adjust its shape depending upon whether the object is far away or whether it is close to you. Okay, now what is the lens? You can see the image of lens, it is here only. Lens is again transparent, it is elastic. Why? So that it can change its shape and perform accommodation. It is located just behind the iris and उसका main function यही है कि to perform visual accommodation, as I said, to accommodate near vision and far vision. And also, it also wants to fine tune the light rays, which have just been bended by the cornea. It wants to make it even more precise now. Now, I was telling you about ciliary muscles. What do they do? Depending upon whether the object is close to you or whether it is far away from you, the ciliary muscles will change its shape, and that will make the lens also to accommodate, right? So tell me that if an object is just right in front of your face, will you need more um, adjustment? Will you need more focus at that time? Will you need more? Will there be more? What can I say? No. पहले क्वेश्चन तो सुन लो आप. पहले ही no बोल रहे हो. Okay, let's just imagine this is an object and this is right there on my face. Yes, it is right there on my face. Do I need to focus more so that I can clearly see क्या चीज है ये? You can try it for yourself. If you're having, try it for yourself. आपको ऐसा समझ नहीं आएगा. Just hold a pen or a pencil and put it very close to your nose like this. Do it. Do you think you require more focus? Because this way the image is actually very blurry. Even I'm not able to see it properly. But if you try it out yourself, you will see that it is difficult to focus on what this is because very less distance is there. So is more focus required? Yes. If you have tried it, if you have tested it yourself, then you will realize that more focus is required. So whenever the object is very close to you, then more focus is required. That is why the lens becomes thicker in this case. But when it is very far away, so you can look ahead, whatever is there in front of you. Very far away का मतलब ये भी नहीं है इतना ज्यादा दूर चले जाओ. Anything that is probably kept a little distant from you, is the focus lesser now that is required? Is the focus lesser at objects that are a little far away from you? Yes. So that is why in that case now the muscles will relax now and the lens will become thinner, right? So accommodation is nothing but a process to accommodate for near vision and far vision. We have seen that whenever the near vision is there, then the lens will become thick, and whenever far vision is there, the lens will become thin. दिस इज द बेसिक क्रक्स एंड इसी प्रोसेस के थ्रू हम दूर की चीजें एंड पास की चीजें देख सकते हैं. नाउ as people age, as aging process happens, all of our muscles weaken, and ciliary muscles are also muscles, so they are also bound to weaken at some time. So if these ciliary muscles are weakening, what do you think will happen? The process of accommodation will become hard because वो muscle ही weak हो गई है. So how will you adjust yourself? How will you make the lens thick? How will you make the lens thin? So because of this age-related decline, a condition known as presbyopia happens where people are not able to accommodate naturally, which is why they require lenses or specs so that they can probably focus on objects that are very close. So that is presbyopia. Now the next part that actually comes here is vitreous humor. Earlier we saw aqueous humor, now we are seeing vitreous humor. What is the difference between both of them? Difference in texture and consistency. So this is more like jelly-like. The previous one was more watery, but this is more jelly-like. Gel-like, jelly-like. Okay. What is the function of this? Similar functions to maintain the shape of the eye, to give some kind of structure, and again to become like a kind of medium of travel. So that is all about vitreous humor that we need to know. And secondly, it has some shock absorbing properties also. Let's just say that there is some strain that is coming on your eye. The whole day you have been sitting on the screen, so now your eyes are feeling strained, right? So, to protect the eyes, to give it some shock absorbing properties, that is why vitreous humor is there. So, that is all. Now, this is one of the most important parts of the eyes, which is known as retina. And most questions you can expect from retina. So, what exactly is the retina? What do you know about retina? Can you tell me in the chat box? What do you know about retina already? Or is this the first time you're learning about retina? Okay, what does yes mean? Retina helps to form image. Rods and cones are present there. Yes, main film where the image is projected, a link between brain and the eye. That is a good way to put it. Inverted images created on it. Yeah, so like most of you do know about the retina a little bit. So let me tell you what it exactly is now. So retina is that part of the eye where the image is created, right? Image of the object you are seeing, it is created here. Next, it is created in an upside down manner. So if you're looking at a tree, it will probably look like this because upside down manner में वो create हो रही है, right? And later, when the brain is interpreting it, the brain interprets it properly. Next thing about retina is that you will find the receptors here. You will find photoreceptors here, which are your rods and cones. They help you detect color, form, shape, movement. They help you interpret that also. Okay, so these photoreceptors detect and they also perform transduction. Okay, so the retina is a thin, it is a light sensitive membrane. Why is it called light sensitive? क्योंकि यहाँ पे rods and cones हैं, which are your basically photoreceptors. Rods is for black and white vision and cones is for color vision. All right. So it has a lot of neurons also. And as I told you, rods and cones are responsible for performing transduction. Image here is created in upside down manner. You already know that. Now the retina actually has different layers into it, which I will show you here. It has photoreceptor layer, it has bipolar cell layer, and it has ganglion cell layer. And question on this also was asked in the entrances that tell that how is the layer arranged in retina. If you talk about how it is arranged in terms of direction of light, then you will start from here, ganglion, bipolar, photoreceptor. But if you're looking at it the other way around, if you're looking at it from the back of the eye in the opposite manner, then it will be in this order, photoreceptor, bipolar, and ganglion. Okay, so this is about what the retina looks like, what are the different layers inside the retina, and I will only tell you how much ever is relevant for you. We are not studying biology here, so we don't need to know everything. Like, of course, if you're interested, you can go into the depth, but here I'm teaching you whatever is relevant. Okay, so we have seen the rods and cones just now, and I have told you that rods and cones are responsible for transduction, they are responsible for detecting color and all of that, right? Then bipolar cells and ganglion cells also we have seen. Now these are a lot of ganglion cells. They actually meet and they actually form a bundle. They actually form a layer of bundle and ये जो हमारे ganglion cells है, later they go and form a bundle of optic nerves. And then this optic nerve, if you can see this, do you see this X here? I will have to zoom this in, then you will understand this better. Yes, this image. And I am also turning my camera off for some time to save some internet bandwidth because there are some issues with the network. Okay, so look at this photo that I have just zoomed. Yes, let's try to locate the parts one by one. Just now I told you that रेटिना के अंदर जो हमारे गैंग्लियन सेल्स होते हैं, गैंग्लियन नर्व्स जो होती हैं, what do they form? They form the optic nerve. And you might know that whatever you're seeing from the right eye goes and gets processed in the left hemisphere, and whatever you're seeing from the left eye gets processed in the right hemisphere. You might know about that already. Okay, so optic nerve जो कि आपकी ganglion sense से बनी है, this is the, let's say that this is the right eye of the person, this is the left eye of the person. This is the left hemisphere, this is the right hemisphere. So the optic nerve from the right eye is actually going towards the left hemisphere of the brain, and the optic nerve from the left eye is going towards the right hemisphere of the brain. So, do you see this crisscross, this X pattern that has been created? This is known as optic chiasm. Okay, this X pattern is known as optic chiasm. And later, from here, what happens? There is a part of the brain known as the thalamus. This thalamus is more like a postman, we can say. It's just an example. But thalamus is more like a relay center. उस thalamus का काम क्या होता है कि सारी इंफॉर्मेशन आप आके थैलेमस को दे दो, थैलेमस उसको रेलेवेंट पार्ट ऑफ द ब्रेन में पहुंचा देगा फॉर फर्दर प्रोसेसिंग. सो जस्ट लाइक यू वांट टू give a letter to your friend, so you just go and put it in the post office. Then from the post office, it goes and gets delivered to the relevant city or the state. The same thing thalamus does. So thalamus is more like a post office. You can submit all of your information to the thalamus, then later thalamus will go and transport it, will relay it to wherever it needs to be relayed. Right, so if I can put the order here correctly for your understanding, what did we see? We saw that retina had photoreceptor cells, bipolar cells, and ganglion cells. Ganglion cells are getting formed into what? Tell me in the chat box. Ganglion cells, इनका bundle gets formed into. This is quite important for entrances, as I told you. इसमें question भी आया था. Yes, ganglion cells का जो bundle है वो optic nerve में जाके बन जाता है. Yes. Now later, when these optic nerve go to the opposite hemisphere of the brains, then the crisscross pattern that is created, what is that called? Yes, it is called optic chiasm. Then after this, it needs to go to the brain, right? What is that part of the brain where the information will go first, just to get collected? More like a postman that I said. Thalamus, but thalamus का भी part, lateral geniculate nucleus, LGN. एंड यहाँ से फाइनली वो लास्ट पार्ट में चला जाएगा जहाँ पे हम उसको भेजना चाहते हैं, विच इज द विजुअल कॉर्टेक्स, एंड दैट इज इट. Yes, so this is quite important for MPhil and NET also, and CUET PG also. Yes, so that is all that we needed to understand from here, and these are some extra terms. Not seen a lot of questions from here, but if you're interested, you can just go over it. Choroid is basically a layer of blood vessels found inside the eye. It gives it oxygen and nutrients. Whenever you click a photo with your flash on, your eyes look a little red. It is because of choroid only. There is another part in the brain where you will find a lot of cones, right? Cones are responsible for color vision. So because there are a lot of cones here, that is why the image that is created here, it is extremely HD in nature. Then there is also one part in the eye, which is the blind spot. It is found in the retina, and this is the part where there are no photoreceptors found. Right? Because there are no photoreceptors, there are no rods, there are no cones. That is why here you cannot really form any picture. You cannot see anything here. An optic chiasm, we've just seen the crisscross, the X-shaped structure that is getting formed due to the optic nerves. So yes, that is the optic chiasm. So with this, we are actually done with today's class. And before we rate ourselves, it's important to practice the MCQs to really understand how much we have actually processed. So now let's begin. And whatever you think your answer is, you can put it in the chat box. So when you have to assign meaning, yes, it is perception. We have gone over it multiple times. Yes. Next. So dash and dash are chemical senses. We have not covered this in today's class. इसमें अलग portion होता है. Sensation is like a very big chapter. So vision and hearing are actually electrical senses. Yes. Just take a wild guess. What is the answer of this? Yes. Taste and smell are chemical senses. Correct. Next. Which statement distinguishes sensation from perception? This also we have discussed in a lot of detail. Yes, sensation is raw, physical, but perception is more about interpreting it. Yes. Next, a loud siren produces sound waves that stimulate hair cells in the cochlea, which is in the inner ear. So this conversion into neural impulses is called, yes, transduction. That also we saw. Yes. Okay, next. Which structure of the eye regulates the amount of light entering through the pupil? Iris. Yes, very good. Yes. Iris ही है ना जो pupil को control करता है whether pupil should dilate or constrict. So iris will be the answer. Next. So in vision, transduction occurs where? Which part of the eye transduction will take place? Rods and cones. These are your photoreceptors. Just seen that. Rods and cones present where? In the retina. Yes. Next question. Damage to which structure would most likely interfere with the eye's ability to refract light? We have spent a lot of time understanding refraction, bending of the eye, so it will be cornea. Yes, refraction देखा था ना हमने लाइट को बेंड करना है. It will be cornea only. Okay, next. A person can touch their nose with their eyes closed because of, yes, proprioception. Basically, you know where your different body parts are located. It is proprioception. Yes. Next, which structure of the eye contains photoreceptors? This also we have gone over multiple times. Retina. Yes. Next. So this is the last question. Which statement about transduction is false? So what is the answer of this? Some of you are saying C, some of you are saying D, some are also saying B now. The correct answer is last chance. It will be D, right? Because ये थोड़ी देता है meaning, ये तो सिर्फ convert करता है. Meaning is given by perception. Yes, so with this we are actually done with today's MCQs. Which edition is better for UGC NET and CUET? Baron, no, Indian edition or global edition? I have not, actually, I don't know which edition I have personally used. I might have used the um global edition, I guess. But Indian edition में जो है सिसरेली वगैरह and all of these books की इससे ज्यादा आपसे नेट से नहीं आता. You have to follow different preparation model for that. Yes, so how can you join the CUET PG course? Uh, whatever group you are a part of, we have sent the joining link there. Otherwise, you can just text us on WhatsApp, or you can text the dot cyclopedia on Instagram. We will send you the joining link. Yes, the dot cyclopedia Instagram page. We will send you the link to join. Yes. So that is it from my side for today's class. And we can see each other in the next class. Next class, we will go over different topics, different entrances, and we might also introduce new resource persons to you because we want you to get exposure of different universities. So I can, of course, give limited number of entrances only, but those who have given entrances of different universities, MPhil and all, they will also come up. They will take up topics of their niche to you. So just informing you in advance. So, like always, it was great teaching you. And any doubts I can take on WhatsApp group or in the next class. So, all right, take care. Bye, everyone.